endorsing Barack Obama. A really important election this week, and I hope everyone gets out there and vote. Take your children with you, let them see the process, let them understand that what you're voting for now is the world that they're going to inherit, and all the things that Barack stands for are things that are going to benefit them. One of the biggest reasons I'm out today and trying to help Barack win this election is that I'm a product of the 60s. And in those days, when things didn't go exactly the way we wanted them to or how we thought they should, we got in the streets, we raised our voices, we did something about it. And over the past, I don't know, 10 to 12 years, I've become sort of apathetic about what was going on, and I figured now was the time to do something. 8 years ago, I voted in an election, and I happened to be out of the country, so I sent in an absentee ballot. And I was in Liverpool, England, doing a film. And when I went to bed that night, my candidate had won. When I got up the next morning, my candidate had lost. I couldn't quite figure out what had happened, and I actually didn't do anything. I kind of said, okay, well, next time. 4 years later, next time came, I voted, my candidate won, and the next thing I know, the Supreme Court told me my candidate had lost. And I didn't do anything that time either. And consequently, the U.S. kind of went to hell in a handbasket. And nobody else got out and did anything either. So this time, I'm out here asking you and your friends to get out there and vote so that no matter what happens, they can't tell me that my candidate did not win. We will have more than enough votes and more than enough delegates or whatever it is you need to win. We're going to have it. So we're going to make sure that happens this time. We're talking about a man who is representing who I would think would be my family when I was growing up in segregated Chattanooga, Tennessee in the 50s. I grew up in a lower middle class home, which happens to be something that's kind of non-existent now. Because there are only two classes of people now, haves and have-nots. Fortunately, I was lucky enough to become one of the haves, and it's because those people who didn't have a lot made sure that I went to school, I had clean clothes every day, they fed me, they had goals for me, and I met those goals, and I'm really happy and proud that I could make my parents and my grandparents as proud as I've been able to make them because of my achievements. But these young people need the same opportunities that I had, and they're going away rapidly as the Republicans run the world. We need a new face. I travel the world a lot, you know, and that was a time when things would go wrong for me, and I'd look around and people were doing stuff, and I go, hey, wait a minute, I'm an American. And they kind of back up and go, oh, all right, we're sorry, but now I'm kind of worried about saying that to people. We need somebody that the world relates to in a very real kind of way. When I was a kid, going to school, and people gave me that speech about, you know, do your lessons, do this, do that. You can grow up, you're an American, be anything you want to be. You can be president. I knew that was a lie. I could not be president. But now, as these young people watch what's going on around them, in my lifetime, we have an opportunity to have a black man or a woman to be president of the United States. And hopefully it'll be the black man, that's why we're here. It's important that these young people see that what they tell you now, that you do live in America, and you do, if you apply yourself in certain kinds of ways, you do certain things, you can grow up to be president. The girls and the guys that are sitting here becoming part of this process because you brought them out here tonight. And I thank you very much for doing that. But let's make sure that this week, when your primary happens, you all get out there and vote. You all make other people go vote. If you can't, go vote early. You know, do it as often and as much as you possibly can, and say it to everybody as often and as loud as you possibly can to make this thing happen. Because we do need change. You know, we need to make sure the world is not just an affordable place for me, because And I want to make sure that there's somebody out there that's taking care of all my cousins and my relatives that aren't as successful as I am, that I talk to every day and listen to their struggle. Because, you know, they need to pay for their houses, and they need to pay for their kids, and they need to pay for their insurance, and they need to go to the hospital and do this. And we finally have a president that's going to try and bring business back into this country where it should be. So we're here, we're all a united front, and I'm really, really glad I had an opportunity to come out here and say to you guys, you know, I'm on your side, and I'm on my parents' side, and I'm on my cousin's side, and we're all in this together, and the best way for this to happen is to vote for change. And that change is Barack Obama.